Nearing the completion of the G1 Transformers Masterpiece scaled character roster, and possibly looking for a new revenue stream or a niche within the collector's market, over the past few years, several third-party manufacturers have gone in the opposite direction and began offering downscaled versions of the same beloved G1 characters, but these could fit in the palm of your hand. They're called Legend Scale figures, and refer to their sizing, which runs about 4 inches tall for a leader character like Optimus Prime, and can be as small as a micro SD card for the cassette bots. The purpose of this video is to give a little history of the Legends class, who the players are, and exactly how many sizes of Legends figures there are to choose from. 2018 was the year of the Legends figure, and 2019 doesn't appear to be showing any signs of stopping that trend. I pulled information from many online sources, most notably TFW 2005's Toy Thread and TF Wiki. Most of the photos used were my own from pieces of my collection, but some were supplemented from the Googles and from friends. If I say anything incorrect or have omitted anything, please let me know in the comments. I've tried to gather the most accurate information, but we all make mistakes, so don't be a dick about it. Legends class figures are small, simplified transforming toys. Larger than a Minicon, but smaller than a normal basic class toy. They are typically, but not always, smaller representations of larger toys within the same line, meant to get kids figures of major or popular characters with a smaller price tag. They started life in 2005's Cybertron toy line, under the name Legends of Cybertron. Each assortment of single-pack figures was its own distinctly numbered series, and that numbering was continued into the latter classics and live-action movie toy lines. The series designations were then abandoned, but the Legend class branding for the price point lived on. As the 2008 Universe line featured characters from across the breadth of prior Transformers franchises, the Legends class molds used were similarly an eclectic assortment. Aside from more redecos of the old Cybertron toys as Generation 1 characters, there were several all-new molds made for the other Generation 1 bots, with an emphasis on new versions of several mini-vehicles. While the Legends play pattern has since become a constant presence in the Transformers franchise and is still in use today, the naming has changed considerably, and confusingly. The Legends class name was dropped for the 2011 Dark of the Moon line, when it was absorbed into the Cyberverse plate pattern, and renamed Legion class, and that name for the toy style has persisted in all following lines. Meanwhile, by the end of 2012, the name Legends class was repurposed, now referring to a new price point of toys released under the Generations line that were sold as 2-packs during the first 2 years. While those figures varied in size, they were all distinctively different from all the previous Legends class toys. To further confuse things, all Takara releases of Generation line figures use the designation Legends in place of Generations to refer to characters from the original G1 continuum. So now that you got the backstory, let's dive right in, shall we? One of the earliest non-Hasbro Legend scale figures were the TFC Toys Target Droids. Released in 2011, they were a simple concept. Take classic Transformer characters and then recreate them as Target Masters. You know, because people were asking for that shit and all. You know what? Somebody needs to make Starstream into a Target Master. The line consisted of 4 2-pack assortments. Hot Flame vs. Screamer, Opti-Aim vs. Mega Shotun, Ultra and Warp, which were AOD exclusive set, and Shadow and Thunder, which were AOD exclusive set. They were limited to a run of 500 pieces and intended to be an exclusive at the AOD 2012 show. However, pieces were late in arrival and were instead used as online exclusives. Released in October 2014, the X9 Toys Speedo and Gartanel was a 2-pack that included Ironhide and Blur Legends figures. It's an odd combination. Followed in December by Plague and Metalance, which was their Scourge and Ratchet. and lastly by their Tyrant and Hurricane, which was Galvatron and Cyclonus. Their Hulky was the first Legend scale combiner in the modern sense of the term, and not counting that atrocious Abominus thing from Hasbro. While still a cool toy, the individual bot modes were lacking, and in some but not all cases, they were the same height as their G1 predecessors. By Mitron, their Megatron, Leia, their RC, and Twofold, their Cup releases, DX9 set a height standard similar to the official Hasbro one that several other manufacturers continue to use today. In November 2014, Iron Factory released the Weapons Defense Squad, which included Turrets, a Legend 6-gun figure, and Manacle, a version of the Generation 1 Slammer that was a white tank accessory for Metroplex, here given his own robot mode that stands roughly the same height as a Legends class toy. February 2015 saw the release of Sonatech, an IDW-inspired version of the Autobot Blaster. He was sold in a 3-pack with Leo Treble, Steeljaw, and Rhino Base, Ramhorn. While the Blaster figure I feel is a write-off, it just looks terrible and is way undersized, the Steeljaw and Ramhorn are still pretty cool little pieces. In April 2015, they released Windsaber, a tiny Legend-sized version of Generation's Windblade. She's supposed to be able to scale with Generation's Metroplex, for whom she acts as a city speaker in the IDW comics. This is actually curious in that Windblade was the 2013 Hasbro fan-built bot. On Transformers.com, fans were asked to choose options in these categories: faction, alt mode, signature weapon, color scheme, personality, name, gender, origin, and specialty. The resulting character was Windblade. In August 2015, they put out City Commander, their version of Ultra Magnus, sporting a Cybertronian alt mode and a hammer. October 2015 gave us Evil Lord, Iron Factory's version of Overlord, who stands a little taller than a Legends class toy. It was inspired by the IDW version of Overlord from Last Stand of the Wreckers. The final one I'll mention is in 2016, they did the Trinity Elite Warrior, which was their version of Blitzwing. It was the first triple changing Legends figure that I am aware of, and it was pretty decent, especially for the time. In 2016, Machine Boy, a KO maker, released several oversized KOs of Hasbro's Legends figures, which were about 30% larger. Those released were Blackjack, Bumblebee, Cliffjumper, Hot Rod, Huffer, Megatron, Prime, Nemesis Prime, Powerglide, Skywarp, Starscream, Thundercracker, and Warpath. In 2016, DX9's sister company, Unique Toys, released their first of 5 2-packs that focused on the US Season 4 and Japanese Continuity Headmasters. First up was a set called Tom and Jerry, or Chrome Dome and Weird Wolf. The rest of the line, which finished up in 2018, were Shunk and Beta, Skullcruncher and Hardhead, Blue Cat and Naughty, Brainstorm and Mindwipe, No Minds and Unhappy, Apeface and Highbrow, and Day and Night, Cerebros and Snapdragon. The issue of KOs is polarizing. Some vehemently oppose them on the basis of intellectual theft or devaluation of the original work, and even as a pariah sucking the lifeblood from the hobby itself. Many are staunch supporters of the oftentimes upscaled and improved designs and even better quality that KOs can provide. Some are fans because KOs are less expensive. Most people don't give a shit. In the Legends game, there's no more hated or loved, depending upon who you ask, manufacturer than mech fans toys. MFT started life as Machine Boy. Many of the OSKO Hasbro Legends that were sold in Machine Boy packaging were also sold in MFT boxes with a new numbering scheme, MF01 through 06 and 09 respectively. MF07, Galvatron, marks the beginning of the KOing of DX9 and Iron Factory products that continues now. With an extremely low price point and simple fun transformations, Mech Planet's Hot Soldiers is a line of larger-end Legends figures introduced in 2017. The plastic quality is middling, but they are generally sturdy builds. Their first offering was Soundwave and came packaged with a teeny tiny laserbeak. Sound Blaster was also available and came with Ratbat and Buzzsaw. A later release, HS-13 Goldbug, came with Ravage. Yep, you had to buy all three to get all the tapes. Hot Soldiers has remained steady, releasing Ironhide, Ratchet, Bumblebee and Goldbug, Cliffjumper, and Hubcap. Their take on a Legends Optimus Prime was just released, and plans for a Prowl have been revealed. Mr. Moon's sole release came out right on the heels of Hot Soldiers Soundwave with a 2-pack of Blaster and Perceptor that were mold mates of each other, which in turn were direct partial remolds of the Hot Soldiers Soundwave. The quality was a little lower, but overall decent. However, the price was $50 for the pair. Soundwave was $20, so 2 Soundwaves basically should be $40, right? Mr. Moon also, in some way, seems to be at the center of some controversy we will discuss a little later. Generation Toy, who began as Warbitron and then would later branch off into Transformission, would include a Legends class Build-A-Figure that came on sprue trees if you bought the full set of figures for each combiner. They were usually given as retailer incentives. Their Bruticus gave us Shockwave, and Computron came with Grimlock. Later releases, after rebranding in the Generation Toy, saw Megatron bundled with Gravity Builder, their Devastator, and a clear version of Optimus Prime came with Havoc, Menasor, under the TFM brand. In 2017, they built, painted, and packaged those Prime and Megatron figures together and sold them as standalone items. While making their bones ripping off other companies' designs, albeit oversizing and making improvements to them, in 2018, Mech Fans Toys released their first completely original design, MS-01 Lost Planet Series Assault Soldiers line. Introduced us to their take on a Legend-scaled Springer. As with their previous and future products, plastic quality, articulation, and posability are great. Aesthetic representation is pretty good, and it's a friggin' Legends triple changer. They continue to simultaneously KO other manufacturers while releasing their own designs. Omega Supreme is available, and Sideswipe and Gears figures prototypes have been shown as originals. An oversized version of Magic Square's Ultra Magnus is planned as well. New Age Toys burst onto the scene in 2018 with a very small G1 accurate Bumblebee named Flipper. It's a great little figure that had an amazing price of $20. It's incredibly small, as you would expect. The promotional photos and box art showed Flipper with the recently released DX9 Optimus Prime Legends Dutch. It's widely believed that New Age is an offshoot of DX9, a belief I held until the recent pics of their Prowl figure surfaced. Prowl is significantly smaller than the other available Carbot Legends and smaller than DX9's own general sizing. It could possibly just be a course correction to get their future Legends in line with Dutch, as the height of Optimus Prime is generally the standard that other figures in other lines follow. Almost instantly, Magic Square became the gold standard in Legends, just as Fans Toys has for MP scale. They came out and dropped images of a cadre of gray prototype figures all at once. Those included Magnus, Cyclonus, Sideswipe, Seaspray, Beachcomber, and Huffer, all released as of this video, and a set of Stunticons which are still in development. With their amazing engineering, somewhat sturdy builds, and accurate G1 looks, it's no wonder they appear to be in the top spot. However, they use a plastic very similar to DX9, which is a softer, matte finish product that some dislike. It begs the question, is MS a DX9 company? If so, what the hell is New Age doing with their scale if they are a DX9 too? Papa Toy's first offering is embroiled in controversy. Arturo Milamar, the toy designer on Facebook, claims that he was the original designer of this piece. I think the story is that Papa Toys stole it off of his computer while it was unsecured at a toy show. Papa Toys is supposedly Mr. Moon, who did the Blaster and Perceptor set we discussed earlier. I don't know the ins and outs and truths and lies of the situation at all. That's above my pay grade or concern for the purposes of this video. That being said, I just received this figure and it's pretty amazing. Spot on G1 look, quality plastic and articulation. It scales perfectly with MFT Cup. I haven't had the chance to transform it yet, but it's a legend, so how difficult can it be? Also available from them are, I guess, original design figures of Grapple and Inferno, which are too big and look stupid in my opinion, and a Magnus which looks G1 as hell, but is way too large to be considered a Legends figure. I'm going to hold out for Mech Fans Toys' update of the Magic Square Magnus, then decide from there. I already have Magic Square Magnus on my shelf. Oh, Toy World. What the fuck is going on with you these past couple of years? Between the last few horrible figures you released like Cup and Springer, your attempts to upsize MP scale with your crappy cone heads, and apparently not paying your designers, which gave birth to Zeta Toys. Seems the only thing you've done right recently is Constructor, and its 75 repaint versions. While you set the bar for combiner sizing, you can't dine out on that one release for much longer. I got an idea. Why not jump into the game of Legends? Recently released was their first Legends figure, Wheeljack. Correction, in an MMC-ish dick move, they released the exhaust figure version of that mold before they released the one that people actually wanted. Shame, 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 shame on you. While it's fine and looks the part, but more of a nod to the G1 toy, the engineering is lacking and the plastic seems cheap. They've released line drawings of the heads of other figures they had planned, but I hope they improve the plastic and the engineering decisions before proceeding. Well known and renowned as a purveyor of quality oversized KO toys, Wei Zhang wasn't about to sit back and not get some of that Legend scale money. They released their KO of DX9 Hulky, which is by now a dated design. They made minimal improvements, if any, and did nothing to improve the individual robot mode appearances. It's just bigger because this thing needs to be bigger, and it's fine. Up until this point, the KO companies that we've discussed have done something, whether that be making fixes or upscaling designs. But Pocket Toys ain't about that life. They're just looking to make a quick buck by stealing designs and making one-to-one reproductions of them at half price. The odd thing is that their version seems to come out very soon after the official product is released, and so far have only KO'd DX9 and Iron Factory products. So here's the scaling. If you're looking for the smaller side, go for Iron Factory, New Age, or the first DX9 releases. The most common size is medium. DX9, Magic Square, Toy World, Pocket Toys, and some Hasbro Legends will fill this need. If you're a size queen and like it big, go with the large. Those would be Mech Fans Toys, Mr. Moon, and Hot Soldiers. And if you have no idea what the fuck scale you are, go for Papa Toys.
Sorry, Prime. Didn't mean to get my missile stuck in your keister.